Will you drink to the earth and to the days which have passed upon it? Will you drink to the fullness which was and to friends who have passed on? Will you drink to good company well met?
They want to look like they're owning the libs. And it is really hard to interview people that are just trying to get, a clip, a photo op, something to make fun of you with online.
It's been a very cynical but successful strategy so far for her. Jason, Carrie Lake has been called Donald Trump in heels, and she has tweeted praise for another hard-right leader, Italy's Prime Minister-elect, Giorgia Meloni. How concerned are you about the gender-washing aspect to Western fascism, that she gives a smiling, Zoom-filtered, telegenic female face to some horrifically racist, far-right and authoritarian views?
Meloni is young, she's well-spoken, she's charismatic, and politically she's very far to the right. She's widely expected to be the next prime minister of this country.
Many of her fans can't get enough of her straight talk. It doesn't seem to bother anyone here that many people in Meloni's party are supporters of former dictator Benito Mussolini, or that the flame on his tomb is her party's symbol.
Giorgia Meloni has gone from little sister status among fellow right-wing leaders to now owning them, on her way to becoming the first female prime minister of Italy and the head of the most right-wing government.
Someone give her haircut the Taco Bell gong.
World War II.
What this victory means is this will be the first time since the end of World War II and the fall of fascism that Italy has been led by such a far-right-leaning coalition government.
Now, The Atlantic put this succinctly. They said Meloni would also represent continuity with Italy's darkest episode, the interwar dictatorship of Benito Mussolini. Wow. Okay, brief history lesson. The fascist party was banned in Italy after World War II. Yeah. Okay. And the party right now is very, very far removed from the Italian social movement, which is, by the way, the successor to the fascist party. Now, Meloni, just to be clear, these are her own words. I don't know if we have a clip or we have a quote. I think we have a quote here. Where she's rejected fascism, and she's already addressed this. This is the playbook, right? They did it with Donald Trump. I haven't heard the reality check guy on CNN talking about this and relating it to Donald Trump, and then relating Putin to Donald Trump. So, reality check. That's a reality check. What?
It's gangster style. It's
so this is what she said, Meloni. What is this? This says, saying the Italian right, she was saying this about the Italian right, handed fascism over to history for decades now, and, quote, unambiguously, she condemns the suppression of democracy and the ignominious anti-Jewish laws. Ignominious, whatever. I don't give a shit.
You're Canadian-ish.
That's honestly, I'm not going to that's a word that I really haven't used very many times.
No.
So here's the thing. First off, Mussolini was a socialist. Was a socialist up until the day he died. So I'll get to that in a second. But if this party is synonymous with fascism, right, they're trying to say because this was the precursor to Mussolini.
Yeah.
Okay, the last time, since it was outlawed post-World War II, right, the last time you would have had anyone who has any roots in fascism or Mussolini, you'd be talking about the 40s, 50s, right, depending when you're looking at people. Maybe there was when there was an underground fascist railroad. Right, yeah. But if this is the party of fascism, because you have to go that far back, right, through the annals of history, see, I made up for it by using another word.
Nice job.
Then, by comparison, the current Democratic Party is the party of slavery, the party of segregation, the party of internment camps. Because they were still pro those things while fascism was outlawed in Italy.
Yeah.
In other words, things change. Now, of course, the party swap is a myth. We've talked about that. That's not really true. When people try and point to Strom Thurmond, they don't really understand the historical context. But my point is this. Democrats back then in that same period of time were against integration. They still believed in segregated drinking fountains, segregated, you're talking about, they oppose the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah.
So at what point do we say, well, look, I don't like Democrats today, but they aren't trying to, chase black people down with German shepherds because they're trying to have a slice of pie up at the counter.
Yeah. Well, and so this is, like you said, just like Donald Trump, where he said there's very fine people on both sides. And right before that said white nationalists are condemned totally. Anybody in that. She's making the same kind of claim like, hey, I'm not saying there's fine people on both sides. She's saying that I'm condemning that. That is something that we've left in the past. Fascism is gone. Right. I believe in none of that. And what I do believe in is freedom. They're changing freedom, individual freedom and liberty into fascism.
Well, and here's the thing. The only reason that fascism is seen as right-wing is because they try to change the definition. If you go and Google it right now, it says that fascism is inherently right-wing. So they try and so therefore Hitler is right-wing, Mussolini is right-wing, Pol Pot is right-wing, Mao is basically right-wing. The only way I don't understand how people have gotten away with this. Fascism can't function unless the government is bigger and more important than its people. Right. That requires big government. So certainly not as you would relate it to the American right-wing. Now, here's a fact for you. Do we have a stinger for it or no? Yeah, hit the fact.
I don't.
Okay. All right. So there's a claim that Mussolini was a fascist. Mussolini was right-wing. Here's the truth. That's the claim. Hit the truth.
It's a live show.
There you go.
Yeah. So before forming the fascist party, Mussolini was a devout socialist. And by the way, he was still a socialist. So this is actually what he said after being a fascist. Here's a quote. Everything in this, well, let me read it like Mussolini. Everything in the state, nothing outside of the state, nothing against the state.
It was like a Jewish Mussolini.
Does that sound like Donald Trump? Does that sound like Ronald Reagan? And while we're being clear, talking about Americans as fascists, what they've tried to do in CNN and Titan, can you point me to one single, ever, and this is genuine, I'd like for you to comment below, one single fascist government that supported more open free speech, as conservatives and Donald Trump did, and more people having access to firearms? Name me one, ever.
It's all about power. They're straightforwardly lying. And that's the attraction. The attraction is the big lie as a kind of loyalty oath, a kind of thumbing your nose at reality, liberals, and the press. This is just a red alarm. It's a 5-alarm fire for democracy. We've been here before. And to treat her as a normal candidate, to treat the GOP really as normal in these circumstances is the last thing journalists should be doing. Journalists need to be telling the truth about these candidates, and the truth does not mean just reporting what they say and reporting what the Democrat says. It means saying what's going on.
With CNN. So Katie Hobbs's campaign headquarters was broken into earlier this week, and her campaign manager said in a statement she argued that the incident was a direct result of a concerted campaign of lies and intimidation by you and your allies. Do you have a response to that?
That is absolutely absurd. And are you guys buying that? Are you really buying that? This just sounds like a Jussie Smollett part 2. So you're going to drag the American people through something like this? Obviously, you don't want to cover the real story today, which we are 11 points up in the polls, and you want to distract the people with an old story. And I can't believe that she would blame my amazing people or blame me for something like that. I don't even know where her campaign office is. I'm assuming it's in a basement somewhere because that's where she's been campaigning. And you guys are despicable for falling into that trap. You drag the American people through so many BS stories like the Jussie Smollett. Anthony, how old are you?
20.
Are you a journalist?
No.
Well, you did better research than half these people. Let's talk about election deniers. Here's 150 examples of Democrats denying election results. Oh, wow, look at this. This is from Joe Biden's press secretary. Reminder, Brian Kemp stole the gubernatorial election from Georgians and Stacey Abrams. Democrats saying that. Is that an election denier? Oh, look at this. Just heard Republican Ryan Costello said it would be difficult for Stacey Abrams to win because she lost her state bid, but yet she's still claiming she never lost. This is outrageous. Hillary Clinton, Trump is an illegitimate president. Is she an election denier? This one says, was the 2016 election legitimate? It now definitely is a question worth asking. That's the Los Angeles Times. So it's okay for Democrats to question elections, but it's not okay for Republicans. It's a crock of BS. Every one of you knows it. We have our freedom of speech, and we're not going to relinquish it to a bunch of fake news propagandists. If you want a copy of these, I'm sure that Anthony would help you get a copy and help you learn how to be journalists, but look it up. It's been happening for a long time. Since 2000, people have questioned the legitimacy of our elections. And all we're asking is that in the future, we don't have that have to happen anymore. When I'm governor, we're going to make sure we have honest elections. We want the Democrats, the Independents, and the Republicans to all know that their vote counted. We want fair, honest, and transparent elections, and we're going to deliver that for the people. But just remember, guys, this is one page after Hillary Clinton says George W. Bush was selected president, not elected. So let's start, if you're going to start throwing around terms like election denier, let's remember who the other election deniers were.